This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. Someone is sabotaging nationwide computer networks linking U.S. government defense researchers and major universities. Mode of attack? A so-called computer virus. That's a renegade set of instructions sent inside computers, spreading from computer to computer. John Blackstone begins our coverage of the impact of this high-tech breaking and entering and the day the machines almost stopped.
On computer screens across the country, a high-tech nightmare started to come true.
I was pretty worried. I was scared. This is, as I said, the scale of this has never happened before.
Thousands of computers were suddenly disabled by an outside invader. From the Rand Corporation in California to MIT in Boston, the biggest names in high-tech research all fell victim.
This is somebody who is trying to warn people to say, it can happen to you.
Who started it all isn't known and may never be, although rumors are already circulating on computer bulletin boards. Many experts struggling to get their systems working again say the release was no mistake.
It takes somebody who with a fair amount of good knowledge of systems like this and a fair amount of perseverance to attack a system and to create this amount of chaos.
The virus is actually a computer program, a set of instructions that tell a computer what to do. In this case, the virus told computers it entered to stop whatever else they were doing, to reproduce copies of the virus endlessly, and then send those copies to every other computer that could be contacted. With computer-age speed, the virus soon filled computers from coast to coast.
The problem that it's caused us is that it's just propagating itself back and forth between all of our hosts, and it uses up all the resources of the machine.
The computers were all connected on two networks used by researchers who are doing unclassified research for the U.S. government.
It was not a primary concern to have a lot of security, because when you start having lots of security on those networks, it cuts down on the free flow and the easy interchange of ideas.
This is the most widespread computer virus yet, but it's not the only one.
We have over 30 strains of viruses. While we speak, many thousands are replicating themselves and spreading throughout the country.
This virus now seems largely controlled, but it has given everyone who runs a computer system a new reason to review security. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
Dozens of computers at Defense Department installations like the Advanced Projects Research Agency, at research centers like the Lawrence Livermore Laboratories, at universities like MIT, fell victim to the virus. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in computer time were lost to researchers, although Pentagon officials said late today the infection has been stopped.
At this time, we feel confident that the problem has been solved. The program that caused the problem has been isolated, and that the system, the network, is immune to any further problem.
But it could have been much worse.
It was a benign virus. By that I mean it didn't destroy files.
It's like saying you were shot at and missed. Let there be warning.
The computers hit by the virus link government and university scientists, allowing about 300 separate installations to pass data back and forth. But the Defense Department uses computers for much, much more. Computers to keep track of pay records and spare parts. Computers like those at Cheyenne Mountain, where the Air Defense Command is headquartered, which are absolutely vital to the nation's defense. Could those too be infected?
The nuclear command and control networks and other networks that protect the weapons and are used from the president down for control of the forces are quite secure.
NASA was one of the government agencies infected by the virus, but officials say the space shuttle is safe.
Traffic in the open network where the virus has been spread cannot really get into that network that NASA uses for its flight missions.
This particular virus killed nothing but time and money. The Pentagon officials say they will have to re-examine the vulnerability of their computers, not just to pranksters, but to computer terrorists bent on doing real harm. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
There are some indications tonight that the presidential race may be tightening at least somewhat. A CBS News poll designed to detect shifts and possible trends among voters now suggests that the Bush-Quayle ticket has a 7-point lead over Dukakis Benson. That is still substantial, but it is down from the double-digit 12-point lead reported Tuesday. This poll was taken Tuesday through yesterday. The suggested margin of error, 3 points up or down. This new poll indicates Dukakis may be making some inroads among voters aged 45 and over, and possibly among voters who've made up their minds just these last few days. Also, there are some additional indications of the volatility of the voters even now. With 4 days to Election Day, this new poll suggests that 24% of the voters, 1 out of 4, may not have made up their minds finally. CBS News correspondent Bill Whitaker, traveling with Michael Dukakis, begins our coverage tonight of the fast and furious final weekend of Presidential Campaign 88.
Michael Dukakis insists he's riding the crest of a surge. Today, he told a noontime crowd in the Queens section of New York City he expects to win this election. And Dukakis, who has made "I'm on your side" his battle cry in recent weeks, ridiculed George Bush for borrowing the line.
Mr. Bush took a furlough from the truth by saying that he was on the side of working American families. 4 days before the election, he tells you that he's on your side. Who's he kidding?
And he again attacked the Republican ticket for running what he called a credit card economy.
They want the American people to forget that they've stolen from our children and running up some of the biggest deficits in history.
But Dukakis staffers found themselves trying to fend off renewed Republican attacks on Dukakis' management of Massachusetts. Last month, because of tax shortfalls, the state overdrew its bank account by almost $200 million.
This is a question of cash flow. It happens in every state. You collect revenues. The question is, who's balanced budgets? George Bush has never balanced a budget. Michael Dukakis has balanced 10 budgets.
And the campaign is striking back with a new TV ad criticizing the Bush record on drugs.
Mike Dukakis says it's time to really say no.
This evening, as Dukakis campaigned in Kentucky, aides said their national polls show Dukakis has cut Bush's lead in half to 6 points in the last week. Dukakis is adding other stops to his busy campaign schedule this weekend in a last-minute effort to keep the surge going. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, New York.
George Bush, sticking with an old tactic of his campaign, was swinging a bludgeon at Michael Dukakis' Massachusetts miracle today. He even brought a prop.
What a mess!
The headline in the pro-Bush Boston tabloid told of bank overdrafts by the state covered by borrowing. Bush, without taking note of the fact the federal deficit is now $155 billion, acted like an outraged prosecutor.
This guy's been campaigning on the slogan that he's one of you and that he's on your side. Well, he may want to be on your side, but I don't think the American people want to be on his side. We don't need that in Washington, D.C.
The Bush campaign then trotted out for reporters several Republican legislators imported from Massachusetts to talk about the problem. They said, with straight faces, that Bush had been surprised to learn just how bad things really are in their state. While the Bush staff remains confident overall, they no longer expect to win Pennsylvania or New York and admit their lead in California is shaky. Bush's schedule is now being put together on an hour-by-hour basis, leaving even the candidates sounding confused at times.
And we've got to keep this fighting spirit going right down till November 4th.
At a rally outdoors in the rain in Cincinnati, Bush latched on to the latest unemployment statistics. Good news for the GOP.
5.3, the lowest rate of unemployment in 14 years.
He also latched on to something else here. A crowd that was organized by a local radio station mainly as a rally for the Bengals football team. Bush's Read All About It act with the anti-Duke headline may have pleased the crowd, but the big draw was 7,000 free lunches handed out after he left. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Cincinnati.
Those unemployment figures mentioned by Mr. Bush came from the Labor Department today. They said, as he said, they showed the nation's civilian unemployment rate dipping 0.1% in October down to 5.3%. Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News. Correspondent Bob Fall on Japan's rush toward relaxation, and Richard Roth on the death a year ago of a girl named Lisa.
My grandfather, Norman Rockwell, captured the spirit of the American family. Oldsmobile has its eye on a new generation, and our 88 Royale fits right into the picture.
An honest American value with a tradition of comfort. a modern 3800 V6 engine, and front-wheel drive.
For today's American family, the 88 Royale is state-of-the-art.
This is the new generation of gold.
Painful conditions are a fact of life in a modern hospital. And when it comes to relieving everyday pain, the overwhelming choice of hospitals is Tylenol. Tylenol is clinically proven effective for all kinds of pain. That's a medical fact. And there's another important thing you should know. Hospitals can trust Tylenol not to irritate your stomach. In fact, unlike aspirin or even ibuprofen, Tylenol is so easy on your stomach, most ulcer patients can use it. Tylenol. It's tough on pain, easy on your stomach.
Don't take chances with your brake repairs. Trust your brakes to Midas, where the work is done by trained experts. And your brake shoes and pads are guaranteed for as long as you own your car. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
This hammer is twice as strong as this hammer. Tums EX is twice as strong as Rolaids, so Tums neutralizes twice the stomach acid. Tums EX, twice as strong as Rolaids.
For the vice presidential candidates, the campaign is ending pretty much as it began. Senator Lloyd Bentsen of Texas campaigning hard to deliver his state's big block of electoral college votes to the Dukakis-Bentsen ticket and played up in the national tickets campaign. The Bush campaign handlers keeping Dan Quayle low profile, at a distance, and pretty much on the back roads. We have two reports. First from Deborah Potter covering Bentsen.
In the closing days of the campaign, Lloyd Bentsen is putting his own reputation on the line to set the record straight about his running mate on everything from defense to gun control.
And you know, I just wouldn't serve on a ticket that the fellow's going to take my shotgun away from me.
Bentsen says he's not Monday morning quarterbacking, but he does believe the campaign goofed by waiting so long to respond to Republican attacks.
Down in my country, politics is almost a contact sport. And if someone comes after you, you reply and you go after them.
In Texas and across the South, Bentsen is still scrapping for conservative support with a newfound ability to energize a crowd. Campaign advisors say his personal popularity is worth 3 to 4 points in the polls, even more in some states.
I think if you didn't have a Bentsen on the ticket, you could have even driven more Democrats away from their party by really convincing them that this was a Northeast liberal ticket.
Dukakis' decision to embrace the liberal label hasn't made Bentsen's job any easier, but the candidate is determined to keep trying.
I think we can pull it out, but it's tough. It's uphill.
Even if the Democrats lose, Bentsen is expected to come out a winner, and not just in his race for re-election to the Senate.
This man is going to return to the Senate with increased stature, increased ability to set his own agenda, and increased ability to be able to contribute to the definition of the Democratic Party.
The Democrats' struggle to find a winning formula has led to finger-pointing within the Dukakis campaign. But no one is pointing any fingers of blame at Lloyd Bentsen. Deborah Potter, CBS News, Houston.
Dan Quayle has become the invisible man of Campaign 88, and he claims he doesn't like it very much.
And I've been trying to make some news for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Now put me on the air.
But the complaint has a distinctly hollow ring. Confined mostly to safe Republican backwaters, he's managed to take most weekends off during the last 2 months. And with less than a week to go, the vice presidential candidate has found time for basketball. He's even gone shopping for his son's birthday.
I ought to get him a trumpet. See if he can do any better than Dukakis.
Despite his declaration of independence from his handlers, Quayle is sticking to their script, delivering the same stump speech, mostly to adolescent audiences, avoiding specifics.
With George Bush, you get experience. And with me, together, we will bring you the future.
With the lowest positive ratings of any of the 4 national candidates, Quayle is conspicuously absent from the Republicans' national TV campaign. Unlike his counterpart Lloyd Bentsen, he's refused to be interviewed for any network broadcast. Yet he tells local reporters the Republicans aren't hiding him.
I think there's 80 major media markets. You take the top 80. We've been in 2/3 of them.
While Quayle now claims he's an asset to the ticket, many party pros are still shaking their heads over Bush's choice of a running mate.
It's very difficult to think of Dan Quayle and asset in the same thought process.
Still, Bush campaign strategists believe the furor over Quayle's selection has lessened, and they doubt he'll be much of a drag on the ticket. Quayle has definitely grown more comfortable in his national role.
And believe me, it takes one a while to understand what the ground rules are of a national campaign.
But if he makes it to the White House, Quayle will have to learn a new set of ground rules, and he'll need a new set of handlers, since none of the senior advisors George Bush hired for him plan to stay on after Election Day. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Monroe, Louisiana.
The Islamic Jihad sent out a note from Beirut today denying President Reagan's contention that a recent videotape by hostage Terry Anderson was scripted by his kidnappers. On the tape, Anderson accused the Reagan-Bush administration of blocking his release. Today's note said that statement was, and I quote, issued directly by Terry Anderson without any pressure, unquote.
It hurts. Sinus pressure and headache. It really, really hurts. A painkiller alone can't stop it. A nasal decongestant alone can't stop it. Sinutab can stop it. Sinutab combines the painkiller in Tylenol with the decongestant in Sudafed to give you more than either one alone. Sinutab is the #1 sinus medicine for a good reason. It stops the pain. It stops the pain. Sinutab stops the pain.
Sometimes I don't know what to believe. What food's good for you, what's not. But I guess I can believe reports from the National Cancer Institute. They say some studies suggest a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. So I made some changes.
Like eating Kellogg's All-Bran. Just 1 tablespoon of All-Bran has more fiber than a whole serving of most other cereals.
Am I going to change what I eat for breakfast? You better believe it.
High-fiber Kellogg's All-Bran.
Don't make a big fat mistake. Don't cook wholesome food in butter, margarine, or oil. Use Pam cooking spray instead. You can save 90% of the fat and calories. No mistake about it.
Phone calls, deadlines, stomach complaints, my job, and my Lanta 2.
Double strength My Lanta 2. Nearly double the acid neutralizing power of any leading brand.
Because my life takes my Lanta 2.
Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher is reviled as a villain by labor unions in Britain, but today she was hailed as a hero by Solidarity, the combined religious, political, and labor union of Poland. Bert Quint is our man in Gdansk.
She had been urged by the Polish regime not to interfere in Polish politics, but that didn't stop Margaret Thatcher from taking the side of Lech Wałęsa and showing her support for his outlawed union. They were the center of as big a demonstration as Gdansk has seen since martial law. The British Prime Minister served as a shield for thousands who chanted defiance of Poland's communist authority. Police, who under other circumstances would have broken up this kind of rally, did nothing. When Mrs. Thatcher went with Wałęsa to a monument outside the Lenin shipyard, the Solidarity stronghold the government has ordered shut, there were cheers for Wałęsa and for Solidarity and cries of "Down with communism." The Prime Minister gave Wałęsa a shot in the arm he badly needed. He admits he's tired and he's under fire from many of his own followers who consider him too moderate. This was a reminder that he's a man they can't replace. Bert Quint, CBS News, Gdansk.
Indian Navy vessels chased down a ship today carrying mercenaries who tried to take over the Maldive Islands yesterday. The mercenaries were reportedly holding hostages, including a government minister, and negotiations were underway. Most of the 150 attackers fled yesterday when India sent in a force of 700 paratroopers. The Maldive government said 12 people were killed in gun battles, but witnesses said up to 30 persons died. A half dozen of the mercenaries from Sri Lanka were captured. The Soviet Union said today it is temporarily suspending its troop withdrawals from Afghanistan because of heavy attacks by the U.S.-backed Muslim rebels. President Reagan said he was disappointed, but he noted that Moscow has not taken back its pledge to have all the troops out by February 15th.
If vacation, take a 3, 4, or 7-day cruise on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
The 1989 Buick Regal. It brings a new kind of style to the American road.
It's a regal new feeling, a style that's appealing, the look of a Buick today. The great American road was made for Regal. It's a regal new style, the pride and the smile. It's the road that Regal commands. Oh, the great American road belongs to Buick.
The truth is, heart specialists concerned about aspirin irritation recommend Ecotrin over Bayer to help prevent second heart attack. Consult your doctor about the only brand of aspirin that's safety coated to protect your stomach. That's Ecotrin, and that's the truth.
Reach past Kellogg's and Post for the best tasting raisin brand, Raisin Nut Brand. It's got juicy raisins rolled in crushed almonds.
Reach for the stripes, come on, reach for the stripes and get the best taste, Raisin Nut Brand.
Under pressure, the Defense Department issued its own review today showing that a dozen defense contractors billed the Pentagon $43 million last year for questionable consultant fees. The Pentagon said the contractors could not document what the consultants did, if anything, to earn the money. A trial here in New York these days centers on a tragedy that is past forgetting. No one is sure how many children die of abuse in our society. 1,100 in 1987 by one estimate, a 25% increase in 2 years. One of those deaths was Lisa, whose image haunts us. And correspondent Richard Roth reports why that image is especially valid when we're talking about the anniversary of her death.
A year after the tragedy, in the quiet of a courtroom, graphic evidence has resurrected the horror. A little girl who died badly beaten. The man who raised her charged with murder. Witnesses said Joel Steinberg, a disbarred lawyer who never legally adopted the 6-year-old he named Lisa, was nervous, grimly joking when the girl was hospitalized, and a doctor told him she had suffered brain damage.
His response was, well, what you're saying is that she's not going to be an Olympic athlete, but she will survive.
Steinberg had claimed the child's injuries were from choking after dinner. But as Lisa lay dying, another doctor ordered photos be taken, convinced that bruises, especially on the back, were sure signs of horrible abuse.
In most child abuse training courses and lectures, they make particular attention of a physician noting that area because it's very, very difficult, almost impossible for a child to injure themselves in that area.
Steinberg beat the girl, the prosecution claims, and the state's case is that his common-law wife didn't stop the attacks because she, too, was a victim of his violence. The evidence was a police videotape made just after Steinberg and Hedda Nussbaum were arrested. Some jurors turned away when the tape was played in court, but this evidence will be crucial as the district attorney tries to prove Hedda Nussbaum was so dominated by her lover she could not act to save the little girl. Now charges have been dropped against Nussbaum, and she'll be the state's star witness, though legal experts say there's a risk.
Hedda is going to be the major question mark in this case. And the risk will be that the jury may well conclude that her depravity was almost the same as, perhaps even greater than Mr. Steinberg's.
Outside court this evening, a vigil to mark the anniversary of Lisa's death and to call for stricter adoption laws. New York already has one new rule requiring a court check for records of abuse or neglect before an adoption is approved. Enacted after the girl here died, the statute is called the Lisa Law. Richard Roth, CBS News, New York.
Heartburn flaring up?
It never seems to stop.
How long have you been taking antacids?
Seems like forever.
Have you told the doctor?
Won't he just tell me to take these?
Not necessarily. Nowadays, doctors can diagnose and treat your heartburn and indigestion.
Now that's worth a visit to the doctor.
If you've been suffering from persistent heartburn, indigestion, or stomach pain, this could be a serious problem. Make an appointment to see your doctor now. Brought to you by Glaxo Pharmaceuticals.
When Mom gets a cough and cold, everyone suffers.
Mom, Dad's ironing.
Time to doctor that cough with Robitussin.
Look, Mom's feeling better.
Robitussin, recommended by more doctors, pharmacists, and Dr. Mom.
Feel your oats.
Post. Oats, oats.
Feel your oats.
Post. Oats, oats.
With new Post Oat Flakes. Zero cholesterol. Whole grain oats with oat brand nutrition. And delicious with the taste of golden toasted whole grain oats. No one packs nutrition and taste into an oat flake like Post. Feel your oats.
Post. Oats, oats.
With new Post Oat Flakes.
Anywhere in the world you can dial direct, you can dial with MCI for up to 22% less than AT&T. At MCI, we don't just promise you the world, we give it to you for less. Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be.
In just a few decades, Japan has gone from a traditional, ritualistic society to the world's leading pressure cooker. Now, correspondent Bob Fall reports the Japanese are trying out some new rituals designed to let off steam.
In Japan, where even play can seem like work, where many workers have to endure 3-hour commutes every day, often under less than ideal conditions, the pace is fast and the pressure is unrelenting.
Some people have stomachache, headache, and some people have arm pain.
Simply because of stress.
Yes.
Now Japan is in a frenzy, trying to slow down. Once the country relaxed in public baths. Now frazzled TV viewers are urged to turn their tubs into spas. If bubbly bath powders don't do the trick, the Japanese duck into pachinko parlors, where this pinball-crazed nation spends twice what it spends on national defense. Or into more than 100 indoor fishing holes, which have sprung up all over Tokyo. You might think this is a shallow imitation of the great outdoors, until you experience the great outdoors here, up close and personal. Bars now cater to stressed-out businessmen, letting them belt out tunes to take the edge off.
This goes on the dashboard.
Stress busters have invaded Toyland, too. Ground down by Tokyo's gridlock, fight back with the Revenger.
You'll pretend you're shooting the cars, and that will relieve stress.
And the current bestseller, the Whack-A-Roach. $30 to smash the cockroach as much as you want. And toy makers aren't the only ones turning problems into profits. This one-time dating service is now one of several so-called stress management clinics. For $200, you get to sit in a refresh capsule and hear birds chirp. So from a cute little cockroach you can clobber to the big ones that can't get away, to counters where the smart set sniffs oxygen for relief, modern Japan is trying to mellow out. Mash a mole, anyone? Bob Fall, CBS News, Tokyo.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather, Bob Schieffer will be here tomorrow. I'll see you Monday, eve of the election. Good night.
This is CBS.
I'm Chris Clark. Next on Eyewitness News, air traffic controllers tell their side of the story. In the wake of a fatal plane crash in Nashville, we'll have that story. A Louisiana prison escapee who made a new life for himself in Tennessee is behind bars again, this time charged with sexual assault. And the little girl critically injured by a lawn dart talks about her traumatic experience. We'll have those stories, plus the latest word from Ron on this very bad weather moving through our area. Eyewitness News is next.